happy to be here during Black History Month. You know, I'm Black 365, but I'll give you February. And, you know, in our community, there's like this big rush during like December through January to get everything ready because white people will only acknowledge our history during February, and that's the only time we get, you know, the attention. And so to all my brothers and sisters, I release you from that pressure. I release you from feeling like it's the responsibility or our responsibility to make people see us as human beings. And I'm happy to be in such a beautiful place in a congregation where my humanity is respected here, and I love coming here. I really do. And if the nature of love is to stay, then when I speak my truth, and when something is bothering me or something is hurting me, the nature of love is to stay. We can't run from each other. We have to sit in being uncomfortable, right? Because that's the nature of love. And remember, the opposite of colonialism is connection. And I want to dedicate this song to Reverend Rick. I picked it out. I was thinking about him. He's not my father. You know, my father's up in heaven. But I imagine, you know, if he was my dad, I might have turned out a little different. Whatever that means to you. But Reverend Rick, I just want to say thank you for how you've led this church and how you kept everything, you know. I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I know the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. And I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. And I've seen many searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers only love provides, 'cause I can hardly think as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still as you call me, deeper still into love, love, love. You're a good, good Father.
Thank you, Alika. Thank you so much. You know, the thing about fathership is, you know, not everybody has had a good experience with it. But this is what Source does. Whatever deficiency there is in us and in our family and everything else, God just makes up for the gap, y'all. So yes, sometimes they're limited. Sometimes our mothers were that way. Sometimes we are that way. And if you don't think you ever have any gaps, talk to me, because you got them. But God makes up for them all. That's that's the divine perfection. And it is constantly calling us yet deeper still into its everlasting love. Yes, it is. Amen. My title this morning is Trust Me. Just trust me. Do you trust me? Yes. Do you trust the divine? Yes. Do you trust yourself? Yes. I eventually was going to get you to confess. Do you trust the principle of life? Do you trust the principle of life? We're still talking about this grand rising, the idea of soaring. The fact that no matter where you are, you can just change your trajectory. You can just turn in the direction and look up and go, and you can elevate your entire experience to the point that you just can't come back again, okay? So it's always increasing. Our lives are always evolving. They're getting bigger, and we just unfold through the whole process. And that's what we do. We take off as soon as we become aware and conscious that there is something bigger. There is a larger possibility out there, and all I have to do is step in it. And remember, your problem is where the possibility lies. I am in the book this month of Iyanla Vanzant, who wrote a book called Trust, Mastering the 4 Essential Trusts. Now, you know her. She is a minister. She's a television personality. She's a lawyer. She has a very, very strong personality. And I love the title of her television show when she had it is, Iyanla, Fix My Life. So she considers herself a fixer. Have you ever considered yourself a fixer? Have you ever needed a fixer? God knows I do. She tells the story, though, a really sincere story about just being a grandmother. And she says she had visitors in her home, and she decided to invite her grandchildren all over to have dinner. But she lives in a rural community, and in that rural community, she based everything in her house is based on electricity. So in other words, the stove, the refrigerator, the garage, the internet is all limited by the availability of electricity. By the way, you live in the same limitation, right? But we trust it. It's amazing. We just always assume when we hit the switch that the power is going to be there. One thing I can tell you, if you hit the spiritual switch, it will always be there. So she has this house full of guests, and so everyone arrives, and when everyone arrives, including her grandchildren, she goes in the kitchen, and I call this the family retreat, right? That, grandmother's in the kitchen, everybody is around, and she is getting ready to hold court. She's going to be the center of attention for everything that is going on, and she's going to prepare this fabulous dinner. Only a king or a queen understands what it's like to hold court, and sometimes you just want. But what happens when suddenly the power goes out? And that's what happens in our life, right? Sometimes our life is just interrupted. We have a plan, it's a good plan, and just in the middle of it all, it is interrupted. And in this case, just the power wasn't there. So certainly, she just says, okay, what do? You just make do, right? She said, and every grandmother knows, and this may be a cultural statement, every grandmother knows if your grandchildren are coming, you got to have bologna in the house. Now, I didn't have a grandmother that I knew of, so I don't know about this. But, obviously there are people in the room who know about it. So when life just falls apart and plans get interrupted, what do? You pivot. You don't change. You don't give up and throw your hands up in the air and say, I'm not going to do anything at all. You pivot. You just change the angle of your direction. That's all. You adjust to the scenario. So she does that. It's totally dark in her house. And so what does she do? She makes sandwiches, and they start playing games, telling stories, all by candlelight. So she says, I lit every candle in my house. And so everybody is enjoying themselves until they didn't. And after a while, we just get sick of each other. No matter how much the glory of God is with us, sometimes we need peace and quiet, and Lord, I need to see other people. That's what I tell people I work with all the time. So someone decides that, okay, look, we got to get out of this. So they go and manually open the garage, and as a result, everybody leaves. So she comes back in, it's late at night, it's dark still, and she says, I'll clean in the morning. So she wakes up, the power is on, and she walks into her house in the family room, in the kitchen, and what do you think she saw? It was a colossal mess, okay? I mean, get out the yellow tape, okay? This is a crime scene. So, but what do you do? What do? You've had this experience, and here is where you are. It's a colossal mess. But she realizes that in the dark, you cannot see the crumbs on the floor. You can't see everything that's going on when you're in the dark. You have an idea of where everything is. It's your house. You know where everything is, but sometimes life is dark, and you just cannot totally see what is going on, but you figure out you know where things are, and every now and then you trip over it. But you're still in your own home, you're still in your own place, even though it's a dark place. And she recognizes as she walks around, what is this on the floor? So everyone that had gone to the bathroom took a candle, and she said she had candle drippings on the pathway back and forth everybody took to go to the bathroom. It was a mess. And here is what she realized. See, everything in life is spiritual. If you tap into consciousness, everything is spiritual. So in the middle of the mess and the candle wax on the floor, she recognizes that we make a mess of our lives when we walk around in the dark. We make a mess of our lives. When we're in the dark and we cannot see the mess, and we can't see how we have contributed to the mess. So our spiritual principle says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence. It's the evidence. It is the assurance. It is the title deed. You own it. It is a confirmation that it is so. It is the reality that is just waiting to happen and birth in your life. It is what we have hoped for. It is the proof. It is the evidence. It is what we act as if. That's what we're doing. We trust, and in faith, we act as if. Why? Because we're directing our attention toward what we want and away from what we don't want. Because what we don't want has been a habit in our lives. We don't have to think about that. We have to turn our direction toward what we want. But this is our tangible reality. So faith, by this definition, is all about trust. So she says there are 4 essential trusts that we need to live a whole life. And that whole life, and those trusts are the trust of self, the trust of the divine, the trust of others, and the trust in the principle of life. She writes, without trust, it is nearly impossible to have faith in oneself, a higher power, life in general, or other people. But with trust, we have the ability to reach our potential. She writes, trust turns rejection, abandonment, and disappointment and loneliness and motivates us rather than discourages us. Have you found that sometimes in life, when you are in the dark and life is the most difficult, it encourages you rather than you having a spirit of, I'm just going to give up? So everything in life is spiritual, and we can use that to move forward. So sometimes life, though, just appears that we're just in the dark. We're in the dark. We cannot see. We are lost. We are afraid. We have an idea, but we just cannot see it manifest. But it is crucial that we look for it. We trust in dark times. We trust in ourselves. We trust in others. We trust in the divine, and we trust in the principle of life, because all of it is for our good. So she writes, our ability to trust plays a significant role in our personal growth and overall well-being. So just like forgiveness is necessary for the person who has been offended, we trust in life. It's for our benefit. It's just like forgiveness. It has this great internal power, and it's totally controlled by us. Now, have you ever been betrayed? Have you ever been abandoned? Has someone ever told you they were going to do something and it just didn't happen, that they just didn't come through? So then it becomes hard to trust. But from that one experience, or maybe others, have you decided not to trust anyone as a result? If you decide to not trust anyone because you've had a bad experience, you're living in the prison. Because you're going to have to trust someone to reach every potential that you want to have in your life. You don't trust in them, but you trust the principle of life will bring it about. I understand that the offender is a hard person to trust, and I'm not encouraging you to do that. I'm not one of those people that teach if you've been offended and you have been betrayed, you don't have to put yourself back in that situation. You can just go in another direction. But there are people that earn our trust, and they earn our trust, and we won't even let them in because of some other experience that we have had in our life. Don't let that person control your future. Now, I don't suggest that you trust everyone. You got to earn it, baby. You got to earn it. Everybody starts out with me with a certain level of trust. One eye is looking for you, just waiting to see if it's going to happen. That's just the truth. You know, I'm really a person about truth. I am not going to stand up here and say that I live above being human, because I am human and I like it, actually. Actually, I have a whole lot of fun being human. And so there's no need of me telling you that you're not going to have those kinds of ideas. But you need to trust, because Spirit will present people in front of you that are there to help you. Then the second trust is the trust of self. So let me ask you a question. Do you trust a liar? Do you trust a liar? Well, how many times have you lied to yourself? How many times have you lied to yourself? How many times have you told yourself that you weren't enough? Have you lied to yourself with your self-talk and saying that I'm not enough, I am the wrong race, I am the wrong color, I have the wrong characteristics, my hair is either too curly or too short, or you don't have any, and everybody that's successful that's a president has a full head of hair? You know, it's something wrong. But that's the mindset that we necessarily create for ourselves. Have you stopped trusting yourself? Because inside of you is intuition and passion. Not passion for another person. That's another sermon. But there is a passion within you that drives you toward your purpose. your purpose. It's the thing that just keeps you going because there is this passion within you, this internal power that keeps you moving forward. And it's your intuition that lets you know what to do. So you have to be able to trust yourself. She writes, everything you need to make it through life's most painful, complex, and challenging issues exists within you. Within you. This is this wonderful place that we have to trust ourselves because we don't want to betray ourselves. So stop lying to yourself if you have been lying to yourself with your list of limitations. She continues on. She said, you have to learn to trust your feelings because as we teach, your feelings are the only thing that don't lie to you. You can tell yourself all kinds of crazy stuff. I can tell myself, not looking in the mirror, I have a full head of hair. I can tell myself that. And actually, in my mind, I see it. But is it true? Okay? So you can tell yourself anything, but my feelings are going to let me know, son, when you woke up this morning, there was no hair on your head. Okay? So we must trust ourselves. The third thing is we have to trust in the divine. God is love, and love is all there is. And so we have to trust it because it's not a love that is based on any level of condition. It's not a condition at all. It is agape. It is love. It is compassionate love. It's a love that wants you to be better and your life to be higher and best for you, even when you don't want it for yourself. It's not judgmental. It's not punishing you at all. What it is doing is providing you all the power and the presence to make it happen in your life. It is an unconditional love. If your God idea is conditional, again, I tell you, it's just not strong enough for me. You can trust the divine because the loving presence only wants you to be who you are and thrive at being who you are. There is no rejection there. There is only love. It is this divine, compassionate, loving presence who wants the best for us. The people we know, the people that know their God, this is a good comment that I recited all through Christmas. The people that know their God are strong, and therefore they can take action because even in a life where you need faith, where you're not sure what's going to happen, you can still, in faith, take action because we trust in the one that is the divine. Now, fourth, is to trust in the principle of life. We talk about life all the time. It's our benediction, life. But what's the principle of life? There is a natural flow in life that allows us to handle uncertainty. It holds on to us because under life is this underlying presence of harmony. And we just have to tap into it. The presence and power of God's love is not chaotic. It is harmony. It is the primary principle of the universe, that it is harmony. Remember, just a few degrees, if you move the earth just a few degrees away, we will either freeze or burn up. We are in the perfect place to thrive as human beings. If the Creator could put that in place for us to thrive physically, don't you think you have the same thing, or if not more spiritually? You are right in the place where you need to be to thrive. Trust yourself, trust the Spirit. There is this underlying harmony that is always there. Think of it this way. If you had a patterned rug and you took up and you were just looking at the back of it, there's just a pattern. You have to turn it over to see the picture. So we see the patterns that are in our life, and the patterns in our life represent the picture, the possibility that is soon to manifest. But we can trust in this principle of life. Why? Because there is only one life. That one life is perfect. And that one life is your life and my life right now. It is beyond just breathing. It is the divine principle of the universe. So what do you do, though, when you go from the dark to the fire? Have you ever been in the fire of life, where you feel the heat and you don't know that you're going to make it, and life just goes, it's dark, and now there's fire. But it's not for you to be forsaken or for you to burn up. It is there for you only to thrive even more because the principle of life is there with you. In this darkness is all of the possibility that still was there when you're having a good time. But it is the learning and the experience that we have through these difficult times that give us the ability to have even more in our life. Not things. Things are irrelevant. It is a bigger life. It's the idea of waking up and just thinking about how wonderful life is. It's that feeling when all of life is disorienting and confused and everybody around you is nuts. Still, you know there is this divine principle that is there that holds it all together. So we trust. So the divine and ourselves, we trust in this principle we call life. Why? Because all of these things work together under this underlying harmony toward good if we just stay in the flow. So we were all taught as kids what to do if we ever caught on fire. Do you remember this? Stop, drop, and roll. So when you are in the fire, stop worrying. Why? Because worrying is not a spiritual practice. It is not. But I tell you this, if you worry, you will just have more to worry about, right? So we have to stop worrying when we are in the fire. What is the next point? Drop. Drop. This representation or this metaphor of dropping is like dropping into prayer. But the only thing I'm telling you that we submit to is the power and presence of the one that is with us. We don't submit to people. We don't submit to the problem. We submit to the divine presence, this underlying principle of life that holds it all together. And then what do? You roll. You got to roll with life. You got to roll with it, baby. No matter what's coming up, you have to be resilient. Why? Because you're made for it. It's not there for you to go up in flames. It's not for you to lose. It's only there to make you better than it was in your life before. So roll with it through the obstacle. Roll through the wax on the floor. Roll through the fact that there is no electricity. It's all still working together for your good. Maybe your plan in life is not big enough. Maybe it's not big enough. Maybe there is more potential in you than you've ever tapped into, and you won't realize it until you're in the dark and in the fire. Faith is trust, and you can trust the one, the divine principle in life that will never, ever let you down. And so it is.